woken from sleep. Your father came in and shook you and said, "Get up, get dressed."
Get dressed and get into the taxi downstairs. Don't ask questions, and we did. Went by taxi, and as we drove, I mean, on the streets, people already were with sticks and everything hitting the cars. And
what people?
People who lived in these villages.
And were these people that you knew?
No.
Oh, so you.
No.
What about your village? Was that going on in your villages?
My village was a big town.
Mm-hmm.
They're manufacturing for cars, and they had the Zetka and or Praga Piccolo. It's like a Cadillac, you know.
So you weren't, but that wasn't going on in your town at that point in time?
No.
That you saw. But as you're fleeing.
As we were fleeing, they thought it's fun to hit the cars
And these
or taxis or things like that. So we were afraid to go and on these trips by taxi or other people's cars or something.
Sure.
So we went by train, you know.
So let's back up just a little bit. You were in the taxi.
Yes.
And you drove
to the factory.
To the factory where your father worked.
That's right. And the thing was called Brüder Mahler, the brother Mahler.
Uh-huh.
And something interesting. The man got his papers, affidavit, from people in United States. So he could come legally to United States. Mm-hmm. And that was really a miracle because Hitler was already there.
Was this one of the owners of the factory?
And he got the papers because, they took his factory and everything. So in return, they gave him so many days that you have to leave. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that was an unusual. Not everybody got that.
So they were given kind of special treatment, so to speak,
for something to to people who were given this opportunity of getting their business or things like that.
So when you arrived, your father had no idea that the factory had been taken over.
Oh no!
By the Nazis. So basically, the Nazi party came in.
We came, and all of a sudden, the man greets us by the door, wouldn't let us in, and says, "Oh, by the way, Factory Mahler is now whatever the name was, you know." And he told my husband and my father, and he switched over his coat hand, and there was a swastika.
Oh, so he had one on his
coat.
Did your father know who this guy was?
Oh yeah.
So he was like a foreman in the factory, and now suddenly he was the owner?
No, he was the general man who was in charge.
Oh, okay.
Of the factory.
So he was kind of the boss of the factory. The owners
right.
had been run out on a rail, basically.
Right.
And now suddenly he was...
Okay, now he was the big top.
Now he was the owner of the factory, just kind of by attrition.
And he didn't want to talk much to my dad.
Was he Jewish, or was he? Obviously not.
No.
Yeah.
He turned from Czech into German overnight. Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's what happened.
And you were saying, had you ever traveled through these towns before?
Oh yeah.
And
a lot, because once we went to different spas and places.
Sure.
We went many times during the year to a spa,
mm-hmm.
So these were places that you drove through.
Describe
villages.
A spa for me. What would you do at a spa?
What I would do at a spa, I would have massages and.
Okay, so it was just like they have here.
Yes.
Massage.
But much in a bigger way.
Sure. Yeah. Much not just little ones everywhere, but.
You had for reducing, you had the hoses, and it was very interesting. And so.
And you never had problems going through these towns. These were friendly little towns, and that everybody And then this night,
That's right. And
you're driving through and...
they were happy that Hitler took over, and so that is how they showed his gratitude to Hitler. Come on now.
Let's go beat up all the cars
Right.
with Jewish people in them.
Right.
And you also mentioned that suddenly there were swastikas everywhere.
The first day, the minute overnight, we had swastika on every house. How this came upon, how fast they had the swastika on each house, is still a miracle to me.
Were there some houses that didn't have swastikas, or...
No.
So...
There were so many swastikas everywhere.
Wow. So was this in your town as well?
Yeah, that was in my town.
So you literally went to bed and woke up the next morning and suddenly
That's exactly, that was it.
Wow. And so you left the factory. The guy says,
That's the factory.
might as well go home.
Yes.
And your father felt that it was unsafe to go home by taxi again.
Right.
I'm sure because of the turmoil and the trauma that you had
That's right.
experienced going.
Right.
You had no idea if you were going to make it home.
That's exactly it.
So you chose to
go by train.
Go by train, which was something that was normal for you, the family. And it was a taxi, so
right.
You weren't abandoning your car at the time. And what time do you think you got home?
I know it was morning, around lunchtime.
Okay, so what kind of in terms of an hour or 2 hours, how long did it take to get there to the factory, do you think?
Okay, we left
the house.
The house, I would say at 12:10.
Okay, 12:10 in the morning.
And we left and we arrived around 8, 9 o'clock.
In the morning.
In the morning.
So this is quite a drive.
Well, we had to drive through villages and had to stop, and because so many villages, they had people with these clubs, and so that was very, very dangerous.
Sure.
And you had to wait till they calm down and get through, and
sure.
So
was there any police presence of any sort of security? Not security, but
no.
Was there anybody trying to keep order in these towns,
no.
or was this just a free for all at that point in time? No. It was just complete chaos.
Yeah, and they stole things wherever they could.
So they were just breaking in and stealing and looting, and this was primarily on the Jewish residents. And
yes.
So we were talking about the train ride home.
Right.
It took about 4 hours or so.
A little bit less, maybe.
Oh, okay. And how was the attitude on the train? Were the people? Were you sitting with people you knew? Were you just kind of huddled together as a family?
Never knew anybody. Never trusted anybody.
Sure. After this or
after
before?
This.
Okay, absolutely.
After this, you didn't know who was German, who was Czech, who know who.
Sure, absolutely. And that's one thing.
And you didn't know whom can you trust. When you are under those conditions.
Absolutely. And that's one thing about about this particular situation was it's not like you're talking about black or Hispanic or
that's not the question.
You have no idea. I mean, you can be standing next to somebody that could be Jewish, somebody that could be Catholic,
right.
somebody. There's no way to it's not like you can just look at somebody and go, oh well, they're Jewish, so let's hike them out of here.